Corso and Catone.
I think well, listen, Mark, listen, hold on. When I say, would you have caffeine today?
What the hell is that up to?
Presented by Special Sauce Podcast, Studio 42 Design, and Corso Law Group. Now for the real deal New England feel, Corso and Catone.
Welcome into Corso and Catone, the real deal New England feel. I'm Corso. Catone is here. Joe is with us in the booth, and you're watching us on YouTube, listening on iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, anywhere you podcast. And hey, stay tuned. Next couple of weeks, I believe it's the 21st, Joe, but we're going to be on 790 The Score in Providence, Rhode Island. So you're going to be able to hear us noon to 1 o'clock p.m. every Saturday on 790 The Score in Providence. So we'll welcome that audience. Hey, they're all listening to us anyway, Mark.
Of course they're listening to us.
You know? So, yeah, you'll be able to tune in. You can get the stream on that and all kinds of fun things going to be coming up. So stay tuned for that. Hey, and you can give us a call and heated hotline, 855-313-PATS. Leave us a message 24/7. We're going to pick one. Want it to be yours. So make sure it's a good take, 855-313-7287. Or email us in our mailbag, corso.catone@gmail.com. Hey, we've got a good one in Weekly Rewind. Oh, God, we got to go back. Got to go look at that New Orleans Saints game. The Patriots dropped that one. Go look at that and some Bruins. Bruins started the season. We're going to talk a little bit about that. And, of course, Catone's comments. I have a feeling you're going to want to stick around for that one today. And going to welcome in Pat's Nation, talk about the preview of the trip to Las Vegas for the Raiders to play them. And, of course, Sunday spread. Hey, I haven't been doing too bad last couple of weeks.
No,
Spread.
not at
So
all.
stick around for some of those locks. So, gentlemen.
Hey.
Are we, Mark, have you recovered from that brutal?
Yeah, barely. Oh,
horrible.
that wasn't that bad.
Terrible.
Joe, I don't even know if we can.
It's time to start watching the San Francisco 49ers again.
Well, look, we got to get into it. We got to get into some other things. A Weekly Rewind. We're going to do it, and let's do it now. Going back through the week. About a Weekly Rewind. 34-0. The Patriots lose to the New Orleans Saints. Yes, I said it. Don't adjust your
I was just going to say, could you repeat that, please?
Don't adjust your headsets. 34-0. The Patriots lose to the New Orleans Saints, and now they are 0-3 at home, 1-4 on the season. It's ugly. It's not good. It's not bad. It's just plain ugly. And so let's get started, Mark. Let's talk about the offense because to me, that's the ugliest thing on the field. So since that's the ugliest thing and you're the ugliest thing on the show, talk about the offense, will you please?
Oh, well. Oh, Joe, was there a need for that comment? We just started, Joe.
Necessary.
We're gonna fight because I feel like we're gonna fight today. This is it.
Jesus Christ, you know.
Go ahead, Joe.
So, anyways, listen, Chris. I guess you got to start with Mac Jones, right? I mean, I don't know where else you start. If you're going to talk offense, I mean, you're going to start with him, okay? Well, actually, you know what? I'm going to start with a combination of him and the offensive line. I guess I'll go O-line first because it was so bad. So, Chris, first of all, he has no protection, okay? Irregardless of how bad he's playing, and I'm going to get into that, he has no protection. The offensive line, Chris, on Sunday. So, for the most part, New Orleans was playing cover one. They had a safety over the top for the most part, right? And for those people who don't know what cover one is, it's basically man-to-man, right? And they were playing a high safety, too, as well, with the cover one, Chris. So, with that said, New Orleans was rushing four guys most of the time. The four linemen, that's it. Every so often, they'd bring some extra pressure. But they were rushing four guys, Chris. And on your favorite side of the line, the left side, they kept running, Chris, like an X stunt with the X. They were running a stunt, and they kept running it over and over because they kept getting through. Explain to us what that is because defensively, what that X stunt was.
Yeah, that's for the slabone on the end of the line. For basically what it means is it kind of looks like there's They have four down linemen on the defensive side, but it's unbalanced. So what they did is they took 3 defensive linemen and they basically put them on outside Trent Brown, basically in the gap between Brown and the guard, and then the other defensive lineman was right next to him. So next to him, it was they were trying to target Mafi and the slot,
and they did,
They did. And so on the snap, the two you get an outside rush from the guy on the end, and the 2 inside guys. One guy pushes and the other guy loops around. So the very inside guy comes into the guard, and then the outside guy, the middle guy, loops around like an X. It makes it look like an X. One guy comes around, the other guy comes through. And all that's supposed to happen is Mafi is supposed to pass the guy down and take the guy that's looping around. Simple.
They couldn't do it, Chris.
Like
it wasn't
3 sacks off that.
Yeah, Chris, it wasn't just like it was 3 sacks and numerous pressures off of that one. Like you would think,
it was
Chris,
2 sacks, but it was a lot of pressures.
So Belichick brings in the new Adrian Clem. You mean to tell me that isn't a quick basic fix when they get to the sideline? Guys, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah.
You know, so first of all, offensive line, that's a disgrace that was actually happening to an NFL roster, an NFL offensive line. So that's happening. While
no
that's
adjustment.
Happening, no adjustment. None. So the offensive line, Chris, F for the day. Big F.
Yeah.
F.
Yeah.
Failure. So Mac Jones, with that being said, Chris, so everyone's talking about, his feet. He's not setting his feet. He's rushing. The interception, Chris, the first interception, he talked about all week. And O'Brien, they all talked about ball security, not turning the ball over, being smart with the football. And what does he do? Soon as there's pressure, he takes a step up and he throws. That's what he throws. That's good. Instead of just taking the sack. Yep. Instead of taking the sack, what are you doing? After you preached all week, ball security, that's what you do. And now you're in the hole already. That was bad. That was ugly. That was
12
ugly.
of 22 for 110 yards and 2 interceptions.
Yeah. Chris, it's ugly. The other thing that really concerns me, okay, with this offense, Chris, is so Jones, with all of that happening, is supposed to be the thing that made Jones supposedly good, Chris, was the fact that he was smart, could read defenses, understand what was going on, absorb a lot of knowledge, a lot of stuff at one time. One example of or 2 quick ones. So there's a play that everyone kept talking about with Hunter Henry going across the seam. He overthrows him. Okay. Yeah. But what they don't tell you is on that play, they got receivers bunched to the right side. On the left side of Jones is Ramondre Stevenson. Stevenson goes in motion behind Jones and sets up to the right of him, and then goes back into his original set. But when he moves originally, Jones looks. New Orleans shifts a bit. Jones goes back. New Orleans shifts back. For some reason, Chris, he read that as they were in zone. They weren't in zone. They were in cover 1. He thought they were in zone. So now he throws that ball over the top to Henry. I don't think he realized, Chris, that there was a safety sitting there. So the linebacker drops back. Not only is he trying to throw it over the linebacker, now you got the safety coming up. I don't think he ever read the fact that there was a safety over the top. He thought they were in zone when he saw the movement. Like that's not something. 3rd year in the league, Chris. Come on.
Yeah, that was that Raider trap or that trap defense that can be run basically that gives you the look of too deep, and then what they do is they take that second safety and they have him read and pull him down.
Yep.
So he's basically an intermediate guy now. And so it gives
the
appearance to the quarterback.
Chris.
Yeah, absolutely. He gives the appearance to the quarterback as if that guy's going to be open coming across the center of the field. And all of a sudden, that's the trap. Down comes the safety, and the ball's picked off or broken up.
Yeah. And luckily, it wasn't picked up. And then the last one, Chris, is the interception off of Ty Montgomery. Well, first of all, that ball should have been thrown 3 steps earlier. Montgomery is open. If he hits him like he's supposed to, Montgomery turns upfield and gets yardage. He waits, and then not only does he wait, he floats it. but he waits too long, Chris. That should have been thrown 3 steps earlier when he comes out of the break. He's open. He allows the safety to come up and force that interception because he threw it late. He's just a mess, Chris. That's all I can say is he's a mess. The receivers can't get separation. It's just the offense, Chris, is an absolute mess. There's nothing else to say.
He's broken. Mac Jones is
broken. And Chris, he's not going to be fixed this year. I don't care what they say.
And all he's worried about is the rush at this point. He's looking down. His eyes are down, not up all the time. And I think he's lost the locker room. I think these guys look at him like a 4-year-old. You hear him in the press conferences, he sounds like a high school kid. You know, he's not a leader. This is not a guy that's stepping up being a leader under tough circumstances. And you're right.
So Chris, so they scored 30. So they don't score any points, the offense. So that's horrible. But what about the defense giving up 34?
Yeah, see, so now here's the thing with the defense, okay? And here's what I'm getting really irritated. These guys are sitting over there talking about this week. Well, so some of these guys are pissed off and grunt and say, hey, all we could do, Gerard Mayo, all we could do is just continue to play, give the team the ball back, and, hopefully things get better on that side, but we'll just keep playing. What do you mean keep playing? You're playing like crap. I told you last week. I said it last week. Don't buy into this friggin' defense and the way they're playing because, injuries, get it. Fine with the injuries. But don't give me this, they didn't allow a lot of passing yards, 183 yards from Carr, but allowed 2 touchdown passes to be thrown against you. Okay? And then you allow 136 yards rushing. What did I say? I said in last week in my keys to victory, Kamara's going to – I have the sheet right here. Kamara, you got to be able to stop the running game. You got to stop this kid. This is what they're going to try to do. They're going to run at you, and they're going to do it all day. He averaged 3.5 yards a carry, okay, 1 touchdown, but 136 yards rushing for this team. So don't sit there and act like you did something. Oh, my God, the offensive struggles are just killing the defense. Don't act like you were bend, don't break all game long, where you were just pound, and every 2 minutes you had to come back off the bench and get on the field again. These were sustained drives. These were drives that, New Orleans was bringing the ball down the field, and let's see what their third down conversions were, So, like, they were 50% on third down. The bottom line is the defense played like crap too. Bentley still plays like garbage. Stavai still didn't look good, okay? I get it. You got injuries in the secondary. I understand that. I get it. So you bring J.C. Jackson in. Look, the concepts aren't that great that I'm seeing. Yeah, you got Olave, you got Kamara, but if you can't shut down the New Orleans Saints, you're not shutting anybody down. I get they got a little bit of talent, but they shouldn't be able to run the ball on you like that. And Derek Carr should certainly not throw 2 touchdowns against you, and you don't allow any you got no turnovers. That's the other thing with this team, that their calling card was supposed to be turnovers. They would create turnovers. The plus minus is way out of whack this year. They've caused virtually none. Okay, they're not taking the ball away, but they're still bending. They're allowing teams to come down the field. The red zone percentages for these teams are good against the Patriots. So they're scoring points against you, Gerard Mayo. I don't know what you're talking about when you say, hey, yeah, it's been really tough. We're hanging in there. Hanging in there? Get out of here. You know what? Your offense is having trouble. Get the ball back for them. Create turnovers. Be a little more inventive. Market was bad in this game. I watched some of the pressure packages. I watched some of the run blitz packages that they were putting in there, and guys were choosing wrong all day. It was terrible. It was horrible all around, and the special teams was worse.
And Chris, the special teams has been getting worse. Weekly, it's been getting worse. And Chris, the thing with the defense, right, is Carr and the offense even shot themselves in the foot a couple of times with penalties. Different things happened early in that game. They could have very easily, Chris, has scored like 38 points. They scored 34. They could have very easily scored 48 points in that game. Very easily.
Oh, yeah.
Very easily. Yeah. So it was 34-0, Chris. That was generous because they shot themselves in the foot a couple of times. And the last thing I'll say on offense, Chris, which to me not only did the locker room, is Mac Jones lose the locker room, I think Bill Belichick lost the locker room. 4th and 3, you're down 24-0. You're on the New Orleans 40-yard line. And I don't want to hear that crap about, well, we weren't doing anything on 3rd and 4th down.
Yeah,
So
when we get better on 3rd and 4th down, we'll go for it there.
Yeah, no, there is a point. The point is you tell your team, we're going to stick it in right now and we're coming back in this game. We're going to stick it in and we're coming back right now. That was the point of going for it on 4th and 3. So I don't want to hear your ridiculous logic, Bill.
And that's getting old too. And I'm sure
Yeah,
we'll
it's
get
getting old. Grunting and snorting and farting and doing whatever he's doing at the goddamn mic.
Yeah. So, and we'll get into that a little bit later in the show. But, one of the good things that started up this week, Mark, was the Boston Bruins are back now. They're back playing. We got to get that bad crap taste out of our mouth from the, from that 1-0 in the postseason when they had the best record in history. But they lost a lot of guys, Mark. Now they started up on Wednesday night.
Wednesday night against the Blackhawks.
They won 3-1. Now they're going to be playing tonight. Is going to be game 2. What'd you think? They won 3-1 in that game, Mark. And I go through some of the because it's a different looking team now.
It is.
Than what it was. What'd you make of that when you saw them? How did you think? What did you think?
I will tell you this, Chris. I think you have a problem when Coyle and Zaka are your top 2 centers.
Yeah.
I think, to me personally, I think that's a problem. I'm not confident with either one of those guys. Okay. So I think Pasternak and Marchand, your wings are going to have to carry those lines, I think, because your wingers, because I don't think it's going to be those 2 guys. I am very encouraged by the rookie Patra. Okay, the kid on the center on the 4th line. I think the kid's got the potential to be something, Chris. That kid's going to be something. So
and listen, that's and I'm 1,000% in agreement with you on this with the centers. First of all, Coyle's not a second. He's a bottom 6 guy. He's not a top 6 center.
Yeah.
How do you say his name again?
Patra, I think. Patra.
I think.
Yeah, Patra, I think. Yeah.
Patra should be the second line center. He should be centering. He's a right-hand shot. He should be centering DeBrusque and Marchand. Okay, that's the guy. Instead of being on the 3rd line, Coyle fits well on the 3rd line alongside Frederick and that's what was that?
Frederick, Chris. I like the way Fredericks looked. He looked good, but I say I like the way he looked. He looked good against Chicago, but I like the way he looked in some of those pre-exhibition games I was watching.
Yeah,
too. Frederick looks good.
I'm good with Zaka, Pasternak, and who is it? Van Riesrick there. I can never say these hockey players' names, though. Okay. That's okay. That first line's good. And Pasternak scored two goals. You know what? They did the typical Pastor thing, net. Put him out the end to get his stats, to get his empty net goal. Fine. But and Marchand did his first captain thing of the year and gave it off to him, to Pasternak to score the empty net goal. Yeah. But you got to move Patras up to the second line. I think once you do that and center him there, that's where that kid belongs. And I'm impressed with him. And I think
they eventually will, Chris. They just need a little time to do that. But I think eventually they'll do that. That will happen.
And defensively, look, I think it'll be all right with Grzelcyk and McAvoy. Lindholm, look, coming right out of the gate, Mark. Coming right out of the gate, this guy hits the puck in the first minute of the game. Was it first minute of the game? He hit the puck into the stands for a penalty. Yeah. And if that's an indication of what the hell is to come, then you know what? We got a problem with that guy. I'm done with him. I'm done with Lindholm.
And the other thing, Chris, is so you bring back Milan Lucic.
I thought he looked okay in game 1.
He looked okay. Can he do that every night though? I don't know. At his age,
I don't think so.
I don't think he's a top 6 forward anymore.
No.
However,
no.
Right. However, I think he can be serviceable. But I think he can be serviceable, Chris. And I think he'll give you nights where he looks good and helps you win games. But he's not a top 6 forward. But like I said, I think he's serviceable, and I think he gives you a little bit of depth at his age. He
does. I like him on the 4th line, with Beecher and Loco, because he provides that veteran element to that line, and that line's a tough line. And once in a while, if you need to pull him up to the 3rd line, he can handle it. What'd you think of Omar?
Omar, Chris, I'm going to tell you something. Huh?
I thought the first
Well,
goal was soft. I thought the one goal they scored was soft, but then I thought he settled in. Go ahead.
So, Chris, listen, I don't think you can. I don't know why they. Oh, Mark, listen, his value would never be any higher. I don't know why they didn't trade him before the season started, but they didn't. I wouldn't be surprised, Chris, if he gets traded at the trade deadline, because I don't think you can go into the playoffs again this year with that rotation of two guys again. We saw what happened last year, right? So I would personally, I'm not. He's not going to have the year he had last year, Chris. I personally would have moved on from him and traded him and tried to get something in return. But it is what it is. I mean, nothing you can do about it now.
This team, this is going to be a 2-1 team, a 3-1.
Yeah.
3-2 games. That's what you're going to see with this team all season long. They're not going to blow teams out. And you know what, Mark? That may be good. It may be good because it got boring. They knew where they were. They knew who they were going to be, and they knew that they were going to finish one or right there at the top. And maybe if they have to fight all season, when they get in the playoffs, they'll still have that fight. We'll see.
Well, Chris, I was just going to say that. Maybe a little fight will be good for them. You're right.
But that
because they certainly didn't have that. They certainly didn't have the toughness last year. That's for damn sure.
Yeah. So young guys look good. Let's see what happens. They're dropping the puck tonight. And it'll be a long season, but it's going to be a fun season. So Weekly Rewinds was presented by Special Sauce Podcast. What's your special sauce? SpecialSaucePodcast.com. Hey, when we come back, buckle up, as I say. Catone's Comments is next.
Special Sauce Podcast. You like the sauce? The sauce is good, huh? Start out finance, train them, trust them, and let them read. With your host, Marcus Aurelius. Tune in to Special Sauce Podcast, wherever you podcast. What's your special sauce? Time for Catone's Comments!
So the last 2 weeks, it's ridiculous. What is it, like 73 to 3 or something? It's ridiculous. Whatever it is, the combined score of the Cowboys and New Orleans, right, against us. So everyone's talking about Mac Jones has lost the locker room. Mac Jones has lost the locker room. Listen, what about Bill Belichick? Let's talk about Bill for a minute. You don't think Bill has lost the locker room? You don't think he's lost the locker room? The collection of talent that he's put on this field is disgusting. It's awful. It's awful. He sat in the Dallas game, and he sat again in the New Orleans game, and it was like he didn't know what to do. He couldn't make an adjustment. His big thing always was, he's smarter than everybody else. He's playing chess. Everybody else is playing checkers. He'll make the adjustment. There are no more adjustments to make. He looks confused out there. He doesn't look like he knows what to do. Well, we got to start over. He says we got to start over. What are you going to go back to? What are you going to go back to mini camp? You're going to go back to May? How are you starting over? I'm confused. You're not starting over, Bill. It's week 5, week 6. You're not starting over. Okay, you are what you are, like Bill Parcells used to say. You are what you are. You are what your record says you are, and this is what they are. They're 1-4 team. They're about to be possibly become 1-5, and then you play Baltimore, and you play Buffalo and Miami. You'll be 1-7, Bill. 1-7. So the question is, who goes? Is it Mac? Is it Bill? Listen, Bill needs to go. You can't fight. Listen, I'm not saying it's going to be a call to firing, but Bill has to go. Bill, the GM, is a disgrace. The stuff he's pulled with guys like Cole Strange in the first round, Wynn in the first round, Sonny Michel in the first round, N'Keal Harry in the first round. The GM would have been fired three years ago. Never mind the fact he let the greatest player in the history of football walk out the door because his evaluation of him was he's past his prime and I can get an average quarterback and do the same thing. Well, Jesus Christ, Bill, what have you done since he left? What have you done? You've done squat. You've done nothing. And Kraft sits there sending letters to season ticket holders. So now, allegedly, supposedly, according to Jeff Howe this week from The Athletic, Kraft is now getting more increasingly angry with what he's seeing on the field. No kidding. No kidding. All of a sudden now, you're getting increasingly angry with what you see on the field? Listen, what he did with Brady was a fireable offense, and but what has happened since is progressively getting worse and worse. I'm not even going to get into what he did last year with Judge and Patricia. You know why? Because Judge and Patricia had a better offense than this dinosaur, Billy O'Brien. How about that? How about that? The last little thing I'll bring up, and people probably don't even realize it or notice it, but I'm going to bring it up anyways, because this is the real deal New England feel, and we do our homework on this show. He's such a bad GM that he wasted a draft pick on a kicker. A kicker. When you could have taken a receiver, you could have taken a sideline linebacker. You didn't need a kicker. You had Nick Folk. You know what Nick Folk's stats are this year with the Titans? He's 10 for 10. And he's 2 for 2 outside of 50. But you felt you needed to waste a draft pick this year with all the holes you had on a kicker? I'm going to steal a line from somebody who will remain nameless because I know he's very controversial. You know what I would say to Bill from the show The Apprentice? You're fired. You're fired. That was what I would say. Bill, you're fired. That's it. Simple. Plain and simple.
Yeah, listen, 1.5 points a game for the last 2 games. Okay. They haven't scored a touchdown in like 54, something like that. Like 54 drives. Some ridiculous number like that. He looks like a guy. When I watch him in the press conferences, he's always been cranky and all the what he is. Okay. But when I watch this guy now, it's not the arrogance anymore that I see. I see a guy that lost the answers to the test. That's what I.
Chris, he looks defeated himself, doesn't he?
I see a guy that's digging, that's reaching down and finding nothing there. So the message, say, well, are they buying into the message? No, they're not buying any message anymore. The players. Today's player wants to know why. He doesn't tell you why, because I don't even think he knows why anymore. Now, is he going to get fired mid-season? No. Is he going to get fired in the traditional sense? No. Kraft may pull a move at the end of the season and say, okay, we want to push him out, basically. All right, so let's get rid of the linebacker. Let's get rid of the kids. The linebackers coach, the other coach, the secondary coach, Mayo. Let's get rid of all your guys. We're going to bring someone in to give you the 53. We'll decide who the 53 are going to be, and you coach them. That's a way to push him out. So, Mark, I have a question. Because Belichick's fighting for his life right now. Two questions. One, who's got the leverage? What is the leverage? Does Belichick have it or does Kraft have it? Because is Belichick going anywhere else? Can he get somewhere else like like the Chargers or somewhere like that where he can get his wins and they don't have, and they don't give anything up for him, and Kraft's got to eat that $25 million, does he have the leverage or does Kraft have leverage in this situation? And two, can it work? That scenario of I'm cleaning the house underneath you. We're taking over the personnel and you coach the team. Can it work? Will that work with him? Those are the 2 questions I need answered.
To answer the first question very simply, Belichick's got the leverage because we've been saying for months and months and months that Kraft don't like to spend money. So Bill's owed at least $25 million, maybe $50. We don't know if he's going to no one knows what the length of his contract is. The rumor is he's got 1 year left on his contract. Rumor is he's got 2 years left on his contract. If it's 2, then it's $50 million. And he's saying that he's not walking out of here without the $50 million. So I think in that sense, he has the leverage, Chris, because Kraft's not going to want to pay him off And then you're going to have to go bring in another coach. Oh, and by the way, you're going to have to spend money to reconstruct this roster because it's in such poor shape. So I think in that sense, Bill has a little bit of the leverage because Bill's sitting there with 25 or 50 million in his back pocket that he's going to hold Kraft hostage with.
Is there anywhere he can go? Does Bill have anywhere to go?
Yes, he does. I'm going to tell you where he's going to land. Because I believe they're going to tank like they always do, be knocked out in the first round of the playoffs, and Dallas is going to have to fire that coach, and Jerry Jones will hire Belichick in a second. Now, I don't know if Belichick can coexist with Jerry Jones, who wants to call all the shots. However, Belichick's ego is such, he would love to coach America's team.
You think they're gonna? You think he's gonna take? You think that he's gonna not take the GM? Think he's gonna have him as a coach over there? That's it.
Yes.
Because his son's the GM. He ain't kicking his son out.
No, I think Belichick would go there to stick it to Kraft, take his cash, put it in his pocket, and go over there and break the record and try to do something there.
Jerry Jones would love nothing more than to stick it into Kraft, and basically
of course
say,
he would
pay him. You pay him.
So that's my prediction is if he goes, he'll end up in Dallas because I think this McCarthy's, after what I saw against San Fran, they're not going anywhere. So McCarthy will get fired at the end of the year. Your second scenario, Chris, about the coaching staff and forcing him and will he stay? Listen, Chris, what you described about getting rid of those guys, bringing in the GM, and you just coach the players, he's not going to do that. He won't do that. Or if he does, he'll stick it to everybody you draft because he didn't draft him.
That's what I think.
Just like he's doing to this poor kid Butte because he didn't toe tap. Even though Butte is the only guy that you have on that roster besides Demario Douglas that can beat man-to-man coverage. Butte can beat man-to-man coverage, but you don't want to put the poor kid on the field. Listen, I don't know why everybody's trying to massage this though, Chris. Even you're massaging it. Get rid of the Suns. Listen, Bill, listen. I listened to you when you got rid of my second son. I allowed you to get rid of Tommy. I was humiliated. You made a fool of me because he won a championship. You've lost this team. The organization is going nowhere. It's time. You got to go. If you don't want to retire, I'm going to fire you, but you got to go. So I'm going to give you your respect. Say you're moving on to it's, you've had 22 great years, whatever you've got. It's time to go. Don't massage it. There's nothing to massage. It's over.
But that lets friggin' Kraft off the hook too. You know what I mean?
It does let Kraft off the hook.
By saying, you know what, you did this, you did this, you did this. Hey pal, you sat in your room, you sat in your house when Brady walked in there that night. You could have begged that kid to stay. You didn't need to beg him. You needed to give him $50 million and he would have stayed. You could have done that. So you know what? I'm with you. Belichick needs to go. And by the way, I agree with you 100%. Look at what he's doing to the guys he drafted.
Yeah.
Look at how vindictive he is to the guys he brought in. Can you imagine what he would do to the guys somebody else picks? Somebody else gives to him and says, hey, Bill, these are your players. These are the guys you have to use. He'll say.
So let me ask you a question. Is Belichick back next year? Yes or no?
The sad thing is, yes. He is back next year.
Okay, you think he'll be back?
Because I think Kraft is so cheap, so damn cheap, okay, that firing Belichick is paying Belichick, okay?
Yeah.
And so I don't think he's going to do that. And I think his ego is far too large to want that record broken anywhere else but New England.
He's going to die before he breaks that record.
But listen, I think he's back next year. I think all this talk about him getting fired mid-season, all this other stuff, he's going to be back.
Yeah,
and it'll be another letter to the team. Another letter to the friggin' fans.
Even if they win 3 games or 4 games, you're going to bring him back?
He'll be back. With changes, Mark. With changes. Because I think Belichick is going to stay. I don't think he'll walk out the door.
Okay. All right.
That's why I don't think Belichick's going to walk out the door.
Something we're going to keep track of.
I don't think he should be. I don't think he should be. I think Belichick should go. You need the nerd in Miami who plays with Legos still. You need that kid in Miami to come up here. He said it. I still play with Legos. Like, you need that goof to come up here and run this offense. That's what you need. Okay? Period. That's what it is.
You know where I stand. How long ago did I tell you it's time? You know where I stand.
Yeah, you've been saying that for a few years now. So, because to let Belichick go is basically to say, I screwed up twice. I screwed up with Brady, and now I screwed up with this situation, if you're Kraft.
Yeah.
I don't think he's willing to do that. So we'll see what happens. You know, Catone's comments was presented by Corso Law Group, Arizona's leading criminal and traffic law firm, CorsoLawGroup.com. Allow us to be your voice. Hey, when we come back, we're going to welcome in the nation. Pat's Nation is next.
It's that time again for a timeout for a message from one of our sponsors. No one ever thinks they will be in the need of a criminal or traffic lawyer, but things happen. Corso Law Group is Arizona's leading criminal and traffic law firm. Their 20-plus years experience and attention to detail has helped thousands of people all across this great country who found themselves in a situation in Arizona. So whether it's a traffic ticket or if you need reduced DUI or more serious issues, call or go online to CorsoLawGroup.com and talk with these expert attorneys who I know will help you. Corso Law Group.
Back in with more Corso and Catone, the real deal, New England Field. They suck, Mark. They just suck. Like, they just suck. Like, they never.
Listen.
They just suck. That's it.
He's waiting
They
for
have to
Rodgers to heal up so he can give him a sweet deal now that he's on the East Coast. He's just going to wait.
That's it. So, but the season goes on and on and on and on, and we have to talk about it, and we have to talk about the next game. And so to do that, we're going to welcome in the Pats Nation, Joe. 4:00 Eastern Sunday. Patriots travel to Vegas to take on the Raiders. That's the kickoff time. This is going to be interesting, Mark, because both teams stink right now. But one team's got a lot more talent and curious as to why they stink. Okay. That being the Raiders. And then you got the Patriots. And you got two quarterbacks that Garoppolo's leading the league with 7 interceptions. Mac Jones is right on his heels with 6. Both of them are in that 70 quarterback rate, all that. And if you subscribe to all that crap.
And Jones just turned the ball over 6 times between fumbles and interceptions in 2 games.
Exactly. So looking at this game now, breaking it down. Okay. And then we keep talking about keys. We got keys to victory and what do we need to do to win? Should it be what do we need to do to lose? What do we need to do to get Caleb Williams in this place? That's a conversation for another day.
Listen. You do realize, though, you're in the minority because everybody's saying, "Oh, all these so-called experts are saying, well, you can't bank on a rookie, blah blah blah." That's BS, Chris. Give me that goddamn kid. Give me that kid, and I'll take my chances. I've been telling you for 2 years, Chris. He's the closest. He's not Mahomes, but he's probably as close as you're gonna get.
Look, I you know me. I am not a first-round quarterback kind of guy.
No, I know that.
I don't like top 5 quarterbacks because more times than not, they crap the bed. Okay. Yeah. But this guy's different.
Yeah.
This guy's different. So how do we tank in this game, Mark? What do we do? What are we going to do? No, offensively, seriously, break this thing down.
I thought we were talking about how we're going to win.
We are.
He's talking about tanking, Joe. Jesus.
We are.
All right.
We are.
So, listen, Chris, it's simple. You're going to go back to basics. Your receivers stink. Your quarterback is struggling. And right now you're a one-dimensional team because you can't run the ball.
Yeah.
So the first thing you're going to do, Chris, is you're going to take control of the line of scrimmage on offense. You have to take control. As bad as the offensive line is, there has to be a concerted effort to take control of the line of scrimmage this week and run the football. Listen, Ezekiel Elliott did not look bad last week, Chris. He hasn't looked bad in spurts.
No.
Work him. If Stevenson isn't giving you what he needs, work Elliott. Run Elliott 30 times. Run him. Listen, this is going to be a pound and ground, and you're going to have to establish the line of scrimmage, Chris, and that'll maybe open up some play action, some RPO, a couple of different things. It's going to have to be a quick, decisive, short passing game, slants, similar to what they did against Philadelphia. Jones didn't throw the ball much down the field against Philadelphia, Chris.
No.
It was a lot of that short passing, 10, 5, 10, but guys would pick up a little bit of yards after the catch. But you're going to have to establish the line of scrimmage and run the football, Chris. And if you can establish the line of scrimmage and run the ball, it'll help you control Crosby, because Max Crosby's going to be coming for all day. Their pass rusher. The way the offensive lines look the last 2 weeks, you got a problem with him. So if you don't establish the line of scrimmage with the running game and keep him off balance, I don't know any other way to win this game, Chris. I don't want Mac Jones throwing the ball more than 20 times this week. It's going to be almost like a controlled 13 for 18, a touchdown, 200 yards, 185, 200 yards, because you got 170 yards rushing.
But you
180 yards, right?
But don't you have to play? Don't you, in order to do this, don't you have to play with I agree. Listen, they're going to back
Chris,
down.
That's the only way you're going to win this game. If Jones is going to throw the ball 30, 35 times, you're going to get killed again.
You got to simplify the offense now even more.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
You got to you got to go back to basics. You got to try to find things that work. You got to say, okay, in practice this week, it needed to be, look, let's crumble this thing down for a minute. What can we do? What works? Let's shrink the playbook. Let's see what works, and let's try to do it. Because, Mark, if they don't play with a lead, your whole idea goes out the door.
No, you're right. You're absolutely right, Chris. And listen, if they are able to do that, then it'll turn to your defense, which I know you're going to get to in a minute. But here's the thing, Chris. If Mac Jones struggles again, you can't wait to the fourth quarter to pull him. Does he get pulled earlier Sunday if he's struggling early? Do you pull him sooner to give yourself a chance to? I know you want to tank. I know that. You leave him in there.
I want to start him every week. Because he sucks. He sucks. I want my high school quarterback to go up there and start throwing.
I will say this, Chris. Zappy might have looked worse last week.
He is worse. That's the only reason why Mac Jones is still playing, is because Zappy looks so bad. They're waiting for Will Greer to get better, to get the offense down so he can play.
You know what, Chris? I think you're right. I think as soon as Greer understands this offense, you're right. I think Greer is going to go in for him. So with that said, again, if it starts out bad early, you're down 14-0, Jones throws a pick. Do you pull him in the early second quarter and say, okay, listen, it's 14-0. We cannot fall behind like we've done the last 3 weeks. We got to do something to change this team. If you're going to run the ball and try to control the game a little differently, is that something Zappy can do? Because he kind of did that last year.
Look, you can't keep playing this little game of pulling the quarterback every week. I think the next time he comes out is the last time he comes out.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Is the last time you see Mac Jones in a Patriot uniform. So I think they're going to continue to get, because this is not Belichick's guy. You know it isn't. Listen, I think they're going to give him they're going to continue to give him the rope and let him hang himself. And that's what the hell is going to happen here. And by the way, this we don't believe, and the rest of this team, Mark, the rest of this offense with their heads down, with Hunter Henry throwing his hands up in the air. And I get it. They're pissed off. The kid he isn't doing a good job. He's not reading his keys. He's not doing what he needs to do. He doesn't read the field. He throws off his back foot. He's looking down to the ground, all blah, 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 blah. But let me tell you something right now, New England Patriots, and you people out there can take this to the water cooler. Nobody on this team is good enough. Nobody on this team is good enough to say, I don't buy in. I'm hanging up the cleats. There is not one guy on this football team, not one, including Mr. Judon. There is not one guy on this team that I would say to you, we can't live without this guy. Nobody. So cut the crap with your body language, Patriots, because you're all stink as far as I'm concerned. All of them.
No, I listen, you're going to get no argument from me, Chris. And listen, please, this week.
I'm trying to
and I
control
think-
myself. I'm pissed
Listen,
off.
I think they're going to have to this week, Chris, because it appears Schuster and Douglas are going to be out. They've been on the injury report all week.
Schuster's
So
been out
McCain
since he
hasn't-
got here.
No, I know that, but they're in concussion protocol. So if they're out, Chris, Thornton is activated, ready for action. Thornton,
Yeah, it's good. Till he
Listen.
breaks his wrist.
you need to activate this kid Butte, because I think he can beat man-to-man coverage, Chris, and give this kid a shot. You know what's going to happen? They're going to Thornton's going to be active. They're going to keep Butte as a healthy scratch again, and they're going to play the kid from the practice squad that they picked up, the kid that fumbles every time he gets hit. What the hell's his name? Riga. They're gonna play Riga, and Butte is going to be inactive again, even though that's one of the only guys they got that can beat man-to-man coverage. And this dinosaur
Absolutely.
refuses to activate him because he didn't toe tap. Are you kidding me? Really?
Good. Don't play
Are you
him.
kidding
Don't
me?
play him so they tank and lose. Don't play him.
yeah.
And Mark, listen, those guys need work too. I get it. I watched the Mario Douglas try to
No, I
run that little
agree.
scissor route where, that staple of New England's defense that Edelman ran so well, where it's an inside route, push off and get to the outside, and it's always open for a 5-yard gain to get a third down conversion. Douglas needs to work on that. Hey, listen, they're 6th-round picks. They're rookies. They got to work on things. But you got to give them you got to let them do it. You let these slobs friggin' play on the offensive line over and over and over again. You keep running them out there, and you don't let the kids that have some explosiveness, some talent play. Yeah, Mark, this is why they suck. You see, this is the reason why. And on the other side of the ball, okay, on the other side of the ball, I already told you earlier in the show, Gerard Mayo, stop drinking your own Kool-Aid, thinking you're sitting there going, the offense is the problem. We're doing
Chris,
everything we can.
So, Chris,
Yeah,
you
okay.
talked about Garoppolo's stats at the beginning of the segment about how he was just as bad as Jones almost. So defensively, you should have a chance against this team. What are your keys then?
No, we don't.
Based on that, we should have a chance.
Here's why we don't. Because the talent on this team is far better than the talent on this team is far better than what you just saw against New Orleans. Okay? They're better at running back, they're better at receiver, and they're better at quarterback. Listen, I'll take Garoppolo over Derek Carr. Okay? Now, I understand he's good for a stupidity moment every game, Garoppolo. He is, flat out. He does something stupid every single game. But by the way, in case anybody's wondering, they beat Green Bay last week. They beat them. They didn't just come up short. They beat them. So, I don't know why everybody thinks that we're just going to go out there and we're going to beat Vegas and our defense is going to show up. Look, the bottom line is you're not going to be able to. You got to stop Jacobs. Look, I'm not going to say the same thing again. You could throw the keys up there, Joe, all you want. Okay, but it's the same thing every damn week. Okay, win on first down, create 3rd and longs. But see, this week that's a problem for you. The bottom line now is it's almost like Jacobs. You want them to run the ball this week. You want the Raiders to run the ball. Why? Because Jacobs will hurt you in the passing game. And if you put them in situations where they're going to throw the ball, guess who's going to kill you on 3rd down? Guess who? Guess who's going to kill you?
Jacoby Myers.
Yeah, our old friend. Why can't we get these players? Now, Mark and I both said it. Hey, look, Jacoby Myers is gone. Who cares? Show him the door. And I still feel the same way. This guy's not going to make or break any team. Okay? But what a piece he is next to Devontae Adams. So all these people in New England keep saying, we should have kept Jacoby Myers. Yeah, you keep Jacoby Myers. Put him next to Adams. And he's going to look great. But yeah, he's a problem. Devontae Adams is a problem. Who the hell's covering him? You don't have a secondary to do it. Gonzalez is out. Jones is out. Jones is back. Jonathan Jones. Okay? Mills, every so often you could put him on the outside. You got J.C. Jackson now. He's going to play. Picture they want to play J.C. Jackson man on Adams. J.C. Jackson is his own corner. He can't play man. He's never been able to play man coverage. And if the Patriots go into a zone and a shell, Jacoby Myers is going to kill them. He's going to kill them. And believe it or not, Hunter Renfrow will have his day too against the secondary and against the middle of this field. Yeah. Because Tavai and Bentley, the more you have these clowns out on the field, the more they can't cover, the more those kind of guys are going to hurt you. and the tight end, Mayer, the rookie from Notre Dame.
Chris, you got to realize something, though. You got to shut down corner out there, Miles Bryant.
Joe, I can't do it. I quit. That's it. I quit. Look, like I said, the bottom line, you want the keys to victory. You want to beat this team, honestly. Once again, you got to have Tavai and Bentley got to be off the field. You got to have Mapu. You got to have Wilson. You got to have some speed out there. You got to clog the center of the field. You got to put them in third and longer than 6. Because if you put him in intermediate yardage, Garoppolo will hurt you. It's when he tries to push the ball down the field, he makes the wrong reads. They don't have the secondary to hold up against this receiving core. Okay, so, and you don't have the sideline guys like Greenlaw and Warner over in San Francisco. I want to throw up when I see those guys play because those are real linebackers, So what are the keys to victory? I don't know, Mark. I don't think they can win this game. So I don't think they can win this game on defense. I think the Raiders are going to put up a crap load of points against this team. And you have to beg them to run the ball. You have to open up the center so that they allow them to run, because that's the only way you're going to try to keep this close. You have to make sure it's long, sustained drives versus short bursts and hits down the field with Devontae Adams and people like that. Again, this is a tough matchup for the Patriots defense. This is tough because now you have a running back to catch the ball out of the backfield. This is tough. So my keys to victory, I don't have any.
Wow, Joe.
No, it's what I just told you. It's what I just. I mean, do you see it differently? It's what I just told you. I mean,
you know what the problem, Chris?
You know
what the problem is, Chris? So the linebackers, you're talking about Tavai and Bentley, right? So I was watching that Philly game. Now, I'm sorry, Philly. I got Philly on my mind for some reason. Maybe I'm going to bet them this week. So I was watching that San Fran game last week. You brought up those linebackers. So the kid Warner, Chris, actually, he can evade and disrupt a rub route at the same time because of his physicality and his speed. And then he can occupy the passing lane, Chris. Besides disrupting and evading a rub route, he then can occupy the passing lane, Chris.
Yeah.
Like, we have nobody that can do that from the linebacker position.
And Greenlaw is just as good at that, too.
And Greenlaw's just as good at that, Chris.
The other linebacker for San Fran. Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are off-ball. Those are real off-ball linebackers in today's day and age. No, yeah, but listen, this is what it is, Mark. You're going to – look, your safeties are going to have to come down. They're going to have to get really involved in those bubble screens. They're going to have a lot of bubble screens with their running backs.
McDaniels is going to run.
You're going to see a lot of wide receiver screens. You're going to see slip screens, and they're going to force the safeties that have to come down and play, and that's going to try to – and they're going to try to open up a nice crossing post with Devontae Adams down the field and take advantage and pull. The Raiders are going to try to pull our safeties down all day long with the intermediate stuff, and then they're going to hit their shot. So the keys are, you got to get Garoppolo off his spot. You got to get him off his spot. You got to make him make mistakes, and that's it. And force him. I say force them to run the ball. I don't know how you actually do that, but to me, that's what it's going to take to win this game, even though I don't want them to. So, Mark, who are you picking? What do you got?
I'm going to go with the Raiders, even though I think at the beginning of the year I might have taken the Patriots in this game. I don't remember.
We'll go back, I don't think you did.
I don't know. I'm going to take the Raiders in this game, Chris, 30-17. Patriots will score in this game. Patriots will score.
They're averaging 10 points a game.
Listen, because I think what you said, Garoppolo's stupidity will set us up for one cheap score. 30-17, though, Raiders, my prediction.
31-10, 31-12, all field goals for New England.
Now,
you know what? It isn't all field goals. It's one touchdown, and the rest. Let's see, because that work that way? 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 13. I'll give him 13. I'll give him one touchdown because they ain't going to get in the red zone that much, New England. So
they're getting plus 900 to score.
Yeah, there you go. So I give it 31-13 Raiders, period.
Okay.
That's it. So Pats Nation was presented by CORSO Law Group, Arizona's leading criminal and traffic law firm, CORSOLawGroup.com. Hey, when we come back, we're going to come back and have our Sunday spread, our picks of the week, our locks of the week, all that and more right after this.
It's that time again for a timeout for a message from one of our sponsors. No one ever thinks they will be in the need of a criminal or traffic lawyer, but things happen. CORSO Law Group is Arizona's leading criminal and traffic law firm. Their 20-plus years experience and attention to detail has helped thousands of people all across this great country who found themselves in a situation in Arizona. So whether it's a traffic ticket or if you need reduced DUI or more serious issues, call or go online to CORSOLawGroup.com and talk with these expert attorneys who I know will help you. CORSO Law Group.
Back in with more Corso and Catone, the real deal, New England feel. All right, Mark, listen, we haven't been too bad in the last few weeks.
No, we've been
and if
good.
you've been paying attention to me and betting in game, and I got one for you this week. If you've been paying attention and betting in game, you're making some money. So, Mark, what do you got? What do you think?
2 games this week I like, Chris. So I think they're playing again overseas, right? I like Baltimore -4. I know they stunk last week against Pittsburgh. I know they did. But I think Tennessee stinks. Listen, I know they've won 2 games. I think Tennessee stinks. Baltimore's -4. I think Baltimore is going to beat up on Tennessee this week. I'm going to go Baltimore -4.
Yep.
And I know that I usually don't do this, Chris, but I have to.
Uh-oh.
I have
He really
to.
does. He really does want to tank.
Vegas is giving 2.5. 2.5.
That's it.
Listen, go to the bank and load it up and throw it in on Vegas.
Take your deed.
Throw it in on Vegas.
House, everything. Go get
Listen,
it. Go get it. Go get a car loan.
Because, Chris, to your point, I just think New England's going in the wrong direction, and you can't stop this. Belichick doesn't know how to stop this. They're losing Sunday, and it'll be by more than 2.5 points. So, Vegas.
For me,
Baltimore.
Yeah, listen, for me, I'm starting to believe in Houston a little bit. I don't know what they did last week, but I'm just starting to believe in that offense a little bit. And you got New Orleans coming off this big win against the Patriots, really drinking their Kool-Aid probably, and I don't think they're that good. Houston's a home dog, giving up 1.5. And I think you're going to see the same kind of performance you did against Pittsburgh a couple of weeks ago. So I'll take Houston with that home dog, Houston, and be good in a tease too. So you can put them together with 2 other teams. The other game that I like is the Jets. The Jets again. If it was a 6-point, if it was a 5-point game, it's 6.5. This game against Philadelphia at the Jets. I like the way the Jets have been playing lately. I like the way Wilson's been playing. I like how they're protecting him on offense, and I love that defense. I mean, I hate the Jets. Hate them. But betting purposes, I like them this week getting 6.5 points at home. Another home dog. That's a game you can bet inside. So when you're during that game, pay attention, watch that game, and you can bet that within. So when that spread starts to move, you can move with it in that game. And then the other game I like is Indy on the road at Jacksonville getting 4 points. So those are my picks and locks of the week. That's it, Mark. We're going to make some money this week. I'm telling you.
Let's hope we win something.
Hey, you people out there are going to make some money. So Corso and Catone was presented by Corso Law Group, Arizona's leading criminal and traffic law firm. Hey, get on, watch, listen to all our shows. They're up for you. Make sure you subscribe, make Joe happy, and come back next week, 7 p.m. Eastern. We're going to recap that Vegas game. We're going to welcome in the Pats Nation with our preview of the Patriots-Bills game. Catone's comments, Sunday spread, Bruins, Celtics, anything you bring to the table, we will be ready. We are Corso and Catone, the real deal, New England feel. So long.
Find Corso and Catone on iHeartRadio, iTunes, or wherever you podcast. And subscribe to the YouTube channel, Corso and Catone, and catch the chaos at 7 p.m. on Saturday.